Welcome to the World United.
Welcome to the World United.
The session time is already over and I begin. So please bear with me. First, I'm extremely, on behalf of all of you, I'm extremely thankful to you, thankful to Honorable Karthikeyan and my very dear friend Dr. Yugandhar for creating and gifting this wonderful first parliament and this congregation to us. In this congregation, one word has been recurring again and again and again and again, and we are talking about reality. What is the reality? What is real? And different are the same reality, what we are intending to comprehend, understand, express, has been emerging before us. And we are here to understand really the true nature of that reality. And we call ultimate reality. And can we do that? This question was posed by none other than Sri Rama. Sri Ram poses this question to Maharishi Vashishta, his teacher. That, sir, I want to understand this nature of knowledge, nature of reality. And Vashishta's answer is very pertinent for all of us who are seeking to understand, who are seeking to realize that reality. Vashishta says, this reality that you perceive or understand, try to understand, is like a onion. It's like a mythical onion with infinite peels. And you are trying to take out the one peel and go to the another peel, and you think that you are something you understood. You think that you have gone to the kernel, and then you discover that there is another peel to be unveiled, unpeeled. And this goes on, this process. It is like you are going from one level of ignorance to another level of ignorance, which is very important to embrace all of us. And the process is, he said, ultimately, let me tell you, that what you call that reality or knowledge or ultimate knowledge is not something the entity to be reached. It is the process of unpeeling or unveiling that ignorance from ignorance. That process is knowledge. I think that's what we are doing. I was just looking at Hasya Yogi's, I think, your perspective, and I want to make that comment. One of the most difficult challenge before the computers and supercomputers which we are trying to design, we are doing, try to understand the nature of humor. We are trying to simulate everything. We are trying to mimic man with the machine. That is what the science is trying to do. And one of the most difficult challenges is, can machines laugh like you made us laugh? Can they understand humor? Can they understand a cartoon and start laughing? Can they make us laugh? Can they emote? This is the next frontier of computers and machines, really. But two important things are there. I was supposed to speak in a session called Science and Spirituality and Science and Technology. That was in the third day, and I'm not here. And I requested Dr. Yugandhar that please schedule me in this session. Friends, two different perspectives are emerging. Dominantly, there are many perspectives, but one is the perspective of reality as a, through spirituality, what you call spirituality, and perspective of reality through science. And there are two schools of thought. And this is the most dominant engagement of the quest of knowledge, is that which path is to be pursued. Which path is right? Some people believe, that science and science alone will lead to the understanding of the reality. People believe, no, that is a rational knowledge. We cannot understand that reality through our logic alone. And the path is what may be termed as spirituality. That quest of I, that is the path. Some people say that these two should not be mixed up at all. Particularly religion and spirituality and science should not be mixed at all. They are like tracks, rails of two railway track which should not meet parallel lines. Some people believe that both are converging slowly and definitely they are converging, trying to reach the same realm of truth. And some people like me and perhaps Deepak believe they are two aspects of the same reality. Nay, not only two aspects of the same reality, they are one. The science and spirituality are not two disciplines, but they are actually one. This parliament, this conference, or views like this are trying to go ahead in that path and try to understand what it should be. Science, I think very important. Science has left philosophy, the pursuit of philosophy in certain sense, far behind. Science had left what we understood about religions and what religions told about that reality far behind. Spirituality is a different aspect. Our worldview has been changing. We must understand that ever since we are here, we say that the universe is 15 billion, 14.5 or 15 billion old. And then, of course, we have seen some of the videos here. Then we come and the solar system emerges and the earth emerges and then life emerges on the earth and then many species emerge and then humans come and humans go and history well known is very little, 10,000 years or a little before that we start certain civilizations like agriculture and we are here. Our perspective of last 10,000 years has been changing. Try to understand that reality. And not only that is changing, that is altering the world which we live. That is augmenting the world which we live. It is not the same world which we came. My world was limited to my village where I was born for some time. And my neighborhood, my school, my district, then my state. As I traveled, I started to understand, I studied geography, history, my world started expanding. Today the world we see is different. As we are seeing the video from Yogi Protoplasm here really, how insignificant we are part of the universe. It was Earth-centric universe on which whole thought process revolved. Then we went to the, no, it's not like that. All the planets are rotating around the sun. Different view was given by Galileo. And he was persecuted for that. And then new views started emerging. There are many planets. There are several planets, of course, which we knew, many of the planets. But there are many stars in this universe. There is a galaxy. And there are many galaxies, not one. There are billions of galaxies in this universe. And there are concepts like black holes, white dwarfs, which we never imagined. And we try to reach the periphery of the universe. Science has taken us to the very periphery of the universe and we can actually calculate that. Einstein's equation, field equations actually calculate that periphery of billion light years. And the light travels 300,000 kilometers per second, so many of which cannot imagine. It's 35 billion light years, the radius of that universe. and it is expanding. That is where we went. Religion is not aware of this. The religions that emerged were not aware of that. They had, of course, a vast cosmos and everybody has imagination of that. Philosophers were not aware of that. And today, when we see that, we must take that reality into account. Within the atom, we went on. We said that we started breaking the matter, and by breaking the matter, we reached the molecules. We started classifying the elements. Then we reached the atoms. And we said, no, atom is not like that. There is a model, there is a nucleus, and there are electrons. And then within the electrons, there are protons and neutrons. And within then, we started breaking those things into fundamental particles. And there is a zoo of particles we discovered, called quarks. I don't want to go to that model. There is a whole model, which are nothing but they are there. They cannot be seen. But they can be imagined as concepts, as events. And we went on behind to the level of 10 to the power minus 43 seconds. Lives, the events occurs and they vanish. The recent God particle, this is not really God particle. Some people imagine the God particle has come and we have discovered the God. It is not that. It was actually named as goddamn particle. It was not to be, they wanted to complete the model. There must be a particle of that kind to complete the standard model which physics give us. It is named, because bosons were set of particles, and Higgs boson, the large collider, hadron collider, we try to say, we just say that it's possibly that, and we want to complete that model. What I'm trying to say is that within the atom, then we started to understand the life, what is the basic foundations of life, and we went to the genes, the cell, the genes, the genetic structures, which gives us all the representation of that kind, the body representation to us and everything what we have. And we want to understand now the consciousness. What is the consciousness? Who perceives and all that? Deepak has given a wonderful thing. What is that? Brain constructs a model of the reality. Is that a reality sitting within you? You are just showing, I am seeing you, it is there. Who is seeing that? Who is seeing that? How it is presented to us? There are many of these things. And I'm telling you, science at every stage is a beginning. You are peeling another thing. You will be going to next stage. And we have seen these views. The Newtonian view for the last 500 years. And at the beginning of the last century, when Einstein comes on the picture and gives a different picture of space and time and general theory of spatial and general theory of relativity. And then the quantum mechanics comes where the subject and object, what I thought is separate, subject and object, we talk the objective reality, talk objectively. It is not so. People discover you can't talk without subject and object separating and converging together. This is the changing perspective of science. Similarly, if you look at from the spiritual perspective, is spirituality changing? There are different perspectives of spirituality. Each religion has given a different view of spirituality. Religions made a mistake, or sometimes like that, of course wanted to know that, they wanted to know the cosmic nature of the world, and many fall flat. As Sagan says, that is not what they were imagined, was not true. It is completely changed. There is a quest now. At today, in the today's perspective of this one, how spirituality is evolved. And conferences like this, after seeing this kind of videos and this kind of things and many lectures and many different inner experiences, we are trying to understand ahead, to understand that nature of it. And this progression, this journey is knowledge. This journey is yoga, why according to me. Don't see that what has been said is the final word. And this is the final thing. Yes, that was the perspective at that time. There are many things that are invariant, that I agree, of behavior, the conduct, code of conducts of humans, and that they are also changing. This journey is almost like is going and will go on forever. Lastly, I want to say that I think it is very important for us that when we speak the spirit of scientists and spiritual people, spiritualists or different people, and I am not omitting arts. See, one definition of science wrong is that science is physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, particle physics. No. Science is the knowledge of this external phenomenal world that I pursue and what I do, including arts, including playing music, singing, every aspect of human endeavor. That is science. That is a larger domain of science, understanding of science, whatever the activities we indulge in. And spirituality is, perhaps to me, it is that asking the fundamental question, who is perceiving this external reality? Who am I? Question which comes here again in this conference, who am I? Who is experiencing this? Who is experiencing this pain, pleasure, everything, the joy? What is the purpose of my life? How do I perceive that reality? What happens after I'm dead? Who am I? So friends, these are the questions which separate science, subjective, objective reality, and they actually merge. I think the truth which some seers have perceived is that whatever the perceive, and this video is very vivid to show that external reality, the subject and object is called, the dualistic view is not exactly correct. It is omnijective reality in the sense that the observation which I am observing, the observer who am I, and the process that is there, they are not separate. They are one. That is the thing we are trying to move to that truth. I can give this illustration how computers actually model this phenomenon. We don't have time for that, but I can just tell you that I was trying to simply understand how computers understand when I scan a document, how computers understand that word or that letter A. And it's not so simple. You can just see that OCR can actually do it. Any software can do it. But unless I model the entire letters and words and all that kind of thing created, model, then alone computers can recognize. In the sense that the entire model, that is the graphical model, the script model is put on the computers, it cannot recognize. What it comes to points to us is that unless that reality is already modeled as a software, as Deepak said, in the computer, already modeled, the universe I perceive, I can imagine is already modeled within me. It is not possible. We see for granted, I'm seeing Hasyogi ji, and I'm seeing Deepak. But Deepak is already modeled within me. I cannot understand him without he being within me. What we call that now. I cannot see all of you. I cannot shake hand with you. When I'm designing robots using supercomputings and all that, I cannot see you, I cannot shake hand with you, or I cannot do any collaboration or something like that, embrace you without you being within me. That operating system has to have that kind of characteristics. Friends, computers, these pursuits are leading us to that oneness, which can be actually shown. Which can be actually shown that is there, even in machines. If you want to develop machines in the human model. These pursuits of science, the depths of science, these pursuits of cosmos and the vastness of cosmos, or within the cell, I require, within each cell we've got 100 billion cells, and the neurons we have seen in the brain, to understand one cell, able to create super computers which we are developing, 10 to the power 8 mathematical operations per second cannot model that. That kind of intelligence exists within our cells, within the particles. So, my take is that we must pursue in the current contemporary perspective both things simultaneously. Science needs spirituality. Spirituality needs science. They are one, but before that, we both are. Because through the scientific advances, we have come to a stage that many scientists believe that 21st century is the last century for humanity. It is said by the President of Royal Society of London, Sir Martin Rees. He wrote that book, The Last Century. Their science pursuit, relentless science pursuit. As if science is different from something else, human is different from the nature, has led us to this picture that we are destroying the universe. And it may be a reversible phenomenon. It is at this juncture, the 21st century, at this juncture, these conferences like this, the parliament, I think, of that kind has to show a different way. And we are trying to say that my argument is that we must pursue both relentlessly together to discover they are one. And we are yet to understand, all of understanding is what you talked about, happiness, love, those phenomena, how they come, where do they emerge. That whole science is open for all of us to understand what are they really. So, these conferences, these dialogues, these pursuits will go on. But we must take it up, we must understand different views together, integrate those views, and walk towards further march, make a next step towards the understanding of their reality, and that is none other than our own self. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful message on integrating the science with spirituality.